I've talked a lot about my experiences with Unite Here Local 11. Um, they most recently denied all of the requests for medical care for me and then said that because I'm not seeing a doctor, they don't have to pay me anymore. Right? Right. And yet they want to get airtime in every political group that I participate in to advance the measures that I was walking for them. So let's go through this, right? So this was sent to Kurt Peterson, who is the co-president over LA. Despite, like, literally, Ada told me to contact him, okay, who is the co-president over Orange County. She told me to contact him. He never responded to this email. He never responded to this email. Hello, Kurt. My most pressing concerns are the following. I was offered the role of team lead by Juan. By the way, I love you, Juan. I have no hard feelings here. Because I know that you're not, like, a part of, like, how this shit goes. Like, dude, you're totally solid. Okay? With the knowledge, but he was aware. He was aware of this. Okay? With the knowledge that I had experienced severe joint pain from walking the steep cliffs of Laguna Beach and was told the role, which I misspelled, I get this, would be less impactful to my body because I was having a really hard time after I got the second booster shot. And also, I hadn't done that kind of physical work, like, ever. I had never been in such a physical job before. And so I was walking these very steep cliffs of Laguna Beach, and it was causing a lot of joint inflammation. It was causing a lot of pain for me, right? So he's like, you know what, though? You're really good at this. You're great at having these conversations. So we want you to... Plus, I was, like, the only person showing up. Be real. When you talk about, like, how you got the signatures for Laguna Beach, you cannot erase me from that story. Because there were several weeks in which I was the only person showing up. After Jonah's father had a heart attack and Carly started having direct involvement in the campaign, my responsibilities were changed. The team leads were required to walk as much as the canvassers. So this was misleading to me because you presented a job offer to me in such a way that I would have somewhat of relief on my achy joints, right? So you lied to me, okay? By the way, you should really be taking a look at Carly because if she's issuing all kinds of weird instructions like this, she's unwilling to hire additional team leads when I asked about it, and she spends most of her time in the basement drawing on butcher paper. Come on, you guys. The team leads were required to walk as much as the canvassers. We were also prevented from speaking with our teams in the morning. And so traditionally, Unite Here does these big launches where you have role plays and you pep up your team and stuff like that. That got totally cut out under Carly. Didn't happen anymore. It was get them the hell out of the park as quickly as possible, right? We were also prevented from speaking with our teams in the morning, and lunches needed to happen quickly with no role play, no instruction, no mentoring. And since we were walking much longer, we had less time to observe our people in the field. So, like, I had no discipline of abilities. I didn't hire or fire anybody. And oftentimes these types of activities took place without my knowledge. We also had new instructions for reporting nearly every other day, which, by the way, Francis, oh my God, that we went that many months not realizing that the data team was just taking our screenshots and actually doing everything that we did by hand, like in a spreadsheet. You wasted an hour of our time every night. Oh my God. We put in 10 hours at the launch site and in the field. So when I say that, I'm saying that we were asked to arrive an hour early for a staff meeting in which we were shushed and told not to speak, and then told to stay an hour later to calculate numbers that we didn't need to do because apparently there was a data team doing it. And at least an additional hour at home determining and reporting our planned canvas pairs. Because, like, the team leaders, we were actually kind of serious about it. Like, we were concerned about, like, which personalities worked well together, who had a car, who didn't have a car, what would be a safe combination, how could we best utilize these people. But it was all overruled the next day, every single day. Our decisions were regularly overruled the next morning, and our days were dictated by Carly and Francis. I'm not going to be totally unfair to Carly there. My doctor placed me on a 4-hour walk. By the way, you have to consider too, like, this is me writing this in the earliest stages of this injury when I was in the most severe pain. I've healed up a little bit, but I still have a permanent limp. It's still difficult for me to get up and down stairs. But this is when I was like, it was difficult for me to function, period. Like, I couldn't get dishes done. I couldn't get my laundry done. I could barely move. And my mom was coming over to help me. Okay. My doctor placed me on a 4-hour walk restriction due to the joint pain. So I started doing new hire orientation in the parking lot at Lucas headquarters and walked only half days. On March 3rd, this was even before the dog bite, you guys, that, like, I'm already like, hey, guys, the whole reason you put me in this position was because it was hard on me, an older lady, to walk these steep cliffs, and you keep trying to put me into these rich neighborhoods because you know that I'm good at these conversations. On March 3rd, I was severely bit on the back of my left knee by a dog in East LA. It's actually, I've been corrected on this point, like geographically about where it was. It's like the east side of Atwater Village, which I guess is not technically considered part of East LA. Francis was advising Jonah. Jonah was my direct boss at the time. And Jonah had told me when the event happened not to call 911, just to come back to headquarters. Francis was advising Jonah throughout this event. No police report was filed. And quite frankly, when you have an employee that has been injured on the job, you shouldn't make it the expectation that I would do it anyway. Like, you have a responsibility for your employees, Jonah. Animal control was not called, and I did not receive medical attention. He basically bought like a first aid kit at like Target or something with like some Neosporin in it. And I had to go down to the bathroom at the entry level of the Unite Here building and like examine the injury and see how severe it was. And like you can see from the pictures, like the initial picture, everything's kind of centered on the impact zone because I received like blunt force trauma and some pinching that broke the skin a little bit. But then like within a couple of days that flared out to my upper thigh and my calf, right? So here's some of the pictures. This was immediately after it happened. This is immediately after it happened. This was in the bathroom, so the lighting's a little bit different. This was just a couple days later. Francis was advising Jonah throughout this event. No police report was filed, animal control was not called, and I did not receive medical attention. Francis called me on the 4th and told me he was with Jonah the entire time. Jonah told me to come back to headquarters and asked if I should go to the doctor. He did not offer any sort of workers' comp instructions. I didn't know if my insurance would be willing to cover a work-sustained injury, so I called the Kaiser telehealth line to get advice. There was a 3-hour wait time. Jonah went downstairs and left me to do checkout alone. So what I'm talking about here is that I should have been dismissed to seek like there was literally a hospital right down the street, you guys. I should have been dismissed to seek medical attention, but instead Jonah left me there to be the only, it was like one of the skeleton days, so I was like the only English team lead, and I had to check everybody out. Like, it put so much pressure on me, and I couldn't even leave to seek medical attention. And at this point, I'm like, I just want to go home. And I live an hour away, right? Like, I have an hour commute. He was presumably on the phone with Francis based on what Francis told me the next day. Carly advised me to go to the doctor the next day and completed the workers' comp injury form for me. Right, Carly? Abby, who was our logistics specialist, found a copy of the form on the printer and brought it to me on Saturday, not knowing what it was. Fortunately, my social security number was not filled in. Carly then asked me to sign it when I brought it to her and asked her about it, because we didn't know what it was. We didn't know why that was on the printer. It's 2 days after the injury, and Carly's just like fucking laying shit out on the printer. She told me she actually wasn't supposed to fill it out and that I was supposed to have filled it out. You know what, though? At that point, Carly, don't you think you should have just like pulled out a new form and had me fill it out myself rather than just say you need to sign this and trust me? You guys fucked me over so hard, I can't even. I went to the workers' comp doctor in Irvine for a follow up and was placed on a 1 hour walk restriction through the next Saturday. This is also a point of contention because apparently um, Carly and Francis don't understand that 1 hour includes like your entire day of work, right? So you can't just be like placed on like a 1 hour assignment in the field because you're also walking around the building, right? 3 flights of stairs, terrible parking arrangements. Okay. At this point, my duties were revised to new hire orientation, remotely managing my team, check in, check out. It's not even like managing my team. All I was doing was like collecting their how many signatures they got at certain periods during the day and helping with quality control research, which meant that they would send me to double check signatures that were collected and see if the person remembered signing, and if not, get them to sign it again and try and compare the signatures. That's what quality control research is. Once the restriction was lifted, Francis sent me. So now I'm on a 4 hour restriction, right? I'm no longer on a 1 hour restriction. This is 1 week after the dog bite. Once the restriction was lifted, Francis sent me on a walk mission to recreate the petition of Jose Luis Pepe. The first day was 3.5 hours, which was all I could manage. They wanted me to go the full 4 hours. I'll be real with you. But like I started experiencing so much pain from what they were doing to me because this was a very hilly section next to Echo Park. The second day was a couple of hours, which was all I could manage. Oh no, I'm sorry, I jumped back. The second day was a couple of hours. This further damaged my leg injury, and so I lost more time going to the doctor again. The new restrictions were 1 hour walk period. By the way, they were also docking my pay when I had to go to the doctor for this work injury as a salaried employee who was misclassified. Let's be real. Because I did not hire, I did not fire, I did not discipline. And Carly specifically told me not even to talk to my team. She specifically told me not even to talk to my team. Francis and Carly were also selecting people from our teams to become trainers without consulting us, the team leads. Colin was selected, and both Sigrid and I advised against it. We had been careful not to place Colin in scenarios where he might make sexual advancements toward his teammates. I might have to like edit this out. This is gonna have to be a private share, I think. Because that's not fair to Colin. We don't know if the allegations are actually true. I don't know if they're true. Because Sigrid was spreading rumors about him throughout the campaign, so we had various ideas and notions of how he would act, and then when he did try and flirt with somebody, which probably was inappropriate. He shouldn't have done that, right? Especially in a trainer situation. But we took it much more harshly than we would in a normal situation because Sigrid apparently had like a history with him. But I learned that much later after I wrote this email. Because of Francis' decision, a new hire was sexually harassed and stalked. I mean, that's what she alleges, right? That's what she alleges. But I also don't know if she got egged on by the other team lead that was on in the field to take it to that level. I really don't know. Like, I don't want to make assumptions. I don't know what happened. Nobody included me in any discipline discussions or incident information, despite that both of these people reported to me. I learned third hand that it happened after wondering why two of my canvassers didn't sign out. See, they didn't even show up at the end of the night. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm missing two people, and this is LA. And they were assigned to probably some dangerous canvas precinct areas, and they're not showing back up, and nobody's telling me why. So if you're not telling me why, then I wasn't really like management, right? I wasn't really management if you're not even including me in the discussion. I had no notice and even called both of them. Like, literally, there was no heads up. No fucking heads up that there was something going on. So when they were late, I had both of their phone numbers, and I'm like, hey, what's going on? You know, like, you haven't checked out yet. I was sent to Laguna Beach, where I started, basically. I was given very short notice for this. And I was kept at Lucas for long hours on that day to bring a bunch of shit down with me. Like the tablets and chargers, and I had to charge them in my spare room overnight. Then I had to go to like a local Kinko's and pick up a print order. So I was actually like 15 to 20 minutes late for launch because they did this like by the seat of their pants. Just fucking told me I gotta take all this stuff, the pens, you know, all the supplies. I supplied my own clipboards, which most of them were stolen from me. Thanks for that, guys. I wrote my name on the back of those clipboards in a Sharpie. And I was immediately greeted by a very hostile group of people who had been given a completely separate set of instructions by one of Unite Here's organizers. And not only did they not canvas, they fucked off all day. They took a 2-hour lunch at Taco Loco. But I got pulled off the campaign, right? Not added to Mayo. Okay. Mm. Let's see how she does when she gets bit by a dog. I was sent to Laguna Beach. Jordan and Juan were apparently unaware that I was having severe difficulty walking and expected that I would work stores for signatures during the day. This, by the way, is at the same time as trying to get me to sit down to a computer and learn how to use the back end of PDI and rearrange every fucking canvasser's assignment because Ada Tamayo had told them that they were in different pairs than what Juan had given me as a list, right? So I'm supposed to be with a bum leg that's been bitten by a dog, walking around trying to collect signatures while also reassigning every single fucking canvasser. That was such a disaster, you guys. That was such a disaster. Despite not completing the walk assignment, all of the activities of getting supplies from headquarters, going through my garage and to get my own clipboards, some of which were never returned to me, prepping the clipboards, picking up the print order, and handling the launch and checkout compromised me further. My leg buckled under me that night and I collapsed. I sent this to Kurt Peterson, you guys. The guy who is showing up at political meetings and on KPFK talking about how much he appreciates workers and he's fighting for workers. He never replied to it. He never replied to it. The next Thursday, March 31st, I told Francis I needed to go to urgent care because of the pain and I couldn't drive. He said he would get me an Uber. I called back and asked if it was arranged because I was feeling faint. He told me to call 911, which I did. When I was discharged, he told me to get home however the hospital said. They offered me a bus ticket. The closest bus stop to my house is a mile away with an uphill walk. Ada, who's the Orange County co-president, told me to take an Uber. She also said I would get reimbursed. I never have been. I've not been reimbursed for that ride. Then Francis told everyone on the campaign that they are not allowed to discuss medical transportation with me. And so my colleagues started getting scared of talking to me. Yeah, they started like putting out this messaging that don't talk to Jenna. I'm literally an employee of your PAC. I'm a team lead of your PAC. And that's how you treated me because you were screwing up. You were fucking up. Oh my God, even. But please, please, I love seeing you in the news and all the wonderful things you're doing for workers' rights. Francis and Carly asked me what I wanted to learn. Oh, wait, did this skip? I might have doubled something. Okay. Francis and Carly asked me what I wanted to learn. I said PDI. That I wanted to have the knowledge to be a field director. Carly removed me from Jonah, because he was my boss at the time, and placed me directly under her with dotted line reporting to Danielle, who, by the way, was like sexually harassing me. Literally, not only did she keep me for a 13-hour day, But she like unbuttoned her blouse in front of me while I was in the basement. So, okay. All right, girlfriend. I don't know if you thought I was lesbian. I'm not. I'm not even bisexual. So I don't know where you were going with that. But that was weird as fuck. I was expected to learn the program with very little training and was placed on a very restricted schedule with a 9 a.m. start time and no makeup days. Which is, by the way, when you put somebody on modified duties, you're not supposed to change up schedules and stuff like that and make it like that you are in further restricted than the rest of the team. The rest of the team was expected to work um, with 5 days a week with Thursday and Friday off, right? Or available to them as makeup days if they needed to do something on a different day, right? I was offered no makeup days. Their start time was like 11 a.m. My start time was 9 a.m. I'm coming from South Orange County, which means I have to face rush hour traffic to get there by a 9 a.m. start time. Whereas when I was doing the 11 a.m. start time, the traffic was much better, right? So they were trying to overcomplicate things to push me out of this campaign, as far as I can tell, allegedly, right? No makeup days were available to me despite now needing several doctor appointments and physical therapy. In order to learn PDI as well as the reports and manage the staggered shift of phone bankers that Danielle had arranged, because she had like actual Unite Here staffers work in the phone bank, and she had some of them start at 8, she had some of them start at like 1, so there's staggered shift. On April 8th, I had to complete a 13-hour day that further wrecked my leg. On April 11th, it was raining heavily and the weather was simply too much. I had to leave headquarters and went back to the doctor and the next day. By the way, at this point, they were docking my pay, too. Well done, Kurt. Well done. At this point, Carly and Francis reduced me to a remote phone banker, but did not provide a script. Francis told me, "Well, you're a writer." I was formerly a 6-figure proposal writer and management professional before being laid off due to pandemic cuts. But you have to consider, they didn't hire me for that role and they weren't paying me nearly what I earned in that role. So you can't just be like, hey, whip out your super skills for us for free. No, Francis. It doesn't work like that. I have missed several days for doctor appointments, bad instructions from workers' comp service that is supposed to inform me of appointments. This is ongoing. Their workers' comp adjuster is still denying medical treatment for me. We're a year and a half in. I still have a permanent limp. And they are still denying medical treatment for me. And bad instructions from Francis and Carly about when and where I am supposed to work. They docked my pay despite being a salaried employee. You can't have it both ways, guys. Can't have it both ways. On On April 21st, I came to headquarters to phone bank. Carly stuck me in an interior room with no natural light. I have a vitamin D deficiency. This is well documented through my medical records, you guys. And left me to work alone for 8 hours. Francis came in at the end of the day, saw me violently shaking due to the pain, accused me of having COVID symptoms, and put me on the road in that condition. I could barely drive, you guys. I was shaking so severely that it was hard for me to control like my foot pedals and the steering wheel. My vision was blurred at this point. I could barely control the vehicle. They had advised my peers weeks earlier not to discuss operations with me. I was supposed to be part of the actual management team, right? I was supposed to be part of the actual management team. That's why you had me on salary, right? And appeared to be trying to hide me from my Canvas team. I have since been written out for medical leave since May 25th. This is a summary of the events, not including all dates and documentation of communications, but rather an overview so that you know basically what has happened. Kurt Peterson never responded to this email. So every time you see him saying how much he's doing for workers, know what he's doing on the back end with the PAC.